Hi there, welcome to FMCG by Alex. My name is Alex, and today I would like to talk to you about field sales metrics, so how to get the most out of your field sales team. So, why is this important? First of all, field sales team performance is crucial in FMCG because distribution is the key success factor for FMCG. So, typically, the way you look at distribution is weighted and numerical. So, numerical distribution is actually the number of outlets. So, let's say you sell into 1,000 outlets for your product. That is numerical distribution, meaning 1,000 outlets. Weighted distribution is that from those 1,000 outlets, maybe there are only 10 that are doing 50% of the sales. So that is the weighted distribution. The weighted distribution is actually in 10 of these outlets. So the weight is actually higher in those outlets. So this is actually the metric that is applied for, okay, how effective is the distribution? Because it's not always adding more outlets is actually leading to more success. It can also lead to more stock risk, more stock in the market, more returns, and of course, sales are not necessarily increasing. The idea is always that you start with the number of outlets that you are easy to reach. So basically, you're looking at the low hanging fruit. Basically, those are also the outlets that have the highest weighted distribution. Not always the case, of course, because some outlets, of course, you need to pay a lot of money to get into. Now, that might be something you're not ready yet at a specific time when you're starting, or based on your channel strategy, you are simply not yet at that stage where you go into mass market, for example. So, some of these outlets might be very high potential, but you haven't touched them. So, the potential weighted distribution there is high, but you haven't started yet. That brings me to quality versus quantity. So quality would basically be the quality of the distribution, meaning you do it right. So meaning also you have the bandwidth to your sales team actually goes into the right number of outlets. Are they visiting the right number of outlets? Basically, the right outlets also, the ones with the highest weighted distribution. Is it not just small outlets, basically, or outlets that maybe they have a good relationship with, but are not selling that much? Salespeople, of course, are in the end judged on how much they sell. So, quality versus quantity is actually also something that comes down to this weighted versus numerical distribution, where you're looking at weighted distribution being, like, say, quality distribution. You are basically going to outlets that are contributing the most to your total sales versus the numerical distribution where you cover as many outlets as possible. Having said that, it's not like overnight. Sometimes you need to really build sales in an outlet, meaning something that is actually not visible from day one. So, oh, should I actually go into this outlet or not? It's usually good to try. So that's why numerical distribution actually is the key point for me to push when I start with a new company. The numerical distribution, namely, unlocks several outlets that actually have high potential and could be very strong weighted distribution outlets. So, this is the quality versus the quantity. Now, outlets that simply don't sell much or actually have problems with returns or payment or something like that, in the end, you quickly say goodbye to these guys anyway. So, it's just that you don't know how things can actually develop. It's a very good example that I had this when I was working in Indonesia for Ultra Milk, so Ultra Jaya, the milk company. We were struggling in North Sumatra. So Medan is a city in North Sumatra. We were trying to expand the distribution there, but we had a bit of a stop-start sort of approach where, oh, we're not selling that much in this outlet, therefore the investment actually would be a percentage of investment in support would be a percentage of what we're doing there. If you're not doing anything there, your support will be very, very, very low. So the problem with that was that it would not move unless you took some risk, whether you were willing to lose some money. So rather than I am actually investing as much as very antagonistic, I'm putting in what I'm getting out. You say, okay, I'm willing to stake this. Therefore, if it fails, then this is what I'm willing to lose. Therefore, I'm not losing more than this amount. There were some outlets that were doing very well. There were some outlets that were not doing very well. So we also quickly scaled back that support. But one outlet actually could sell 20 times as much as we initially were selling there without the support. So, in the end, it was a very good way to look at how to approach these different outlets. So, how do you actually judge an outlet quality or potential quality of an outlet? Is maybe your sales are zero or actually very small. That actually doesn't inspire much confidence. But if you look at the competition, so is your biggest competitor that you know you can beat on quality, on SKU range, on price, on various things in the marketing mix, basically, you actually have a chance to overtake them in that outlet. So that could be a indicator that they're doing a lot of activity. So even if you don't know the sales of your competitor, the activity that they are deploying in that outlet actually could indicate that they are it's an important outlet for them, and therefore it has potential for you. So that's something that you can keep in mind for the selection of these outlets. So again, quality versus quantity. I say try and actually select from there what you are going to do. Then you basically look at, why is this important? Of course, you go from strategy macro to execution micro, from macro to micro. A lot of companies have, at high level, they have appointed distributors and then sitting back and think, oh, the distributors should do their job. Distributors are basically passing through products, so they can do very good job for you. They can be, in a very rare occasions, I've had distributors that were probably more dedicated than my own people. Like in Ultra Jaya, we had people who were distributors for 40 years already. Now, then that's like family. Those people were, cut them and they bleed the company colors, basically. So in the end, that is more an exception than a rule, though. Distributors, for them, it's just a business. If you give them a good product and you give them good support, they will sell a lot. If you don't give them a good product and the support is limited, then they will not sell that much. And the motivation from them is also not there unless you really, push, shove. At the bottom, you need to really grassroots. You need to go and develop this with them. So the support needs to be there, not just, okay, I'm shipping a truckload of or a container full of product to you, and then you figure it out. It's they're not passive, but they're also not that active. If you look at Asia, basically Asia has a lot of these distributors which have active sales teams. If you look at Europe, like for example the Netherlands, where I'm also been active for quite a long time. There actually FMCG wholesalers are distributors, wholesale distributors are very passive. So they are just waiting for the sales team of the principal actually to, and the brand owner to move. So this is the two sides of the spectrum, basically. And if you look at why sales team performance is really important, is that so the idea on paper, so the high level idea that the CEO or the CEO or whoever basically with the C-level sales director has actually designed for the entire company. Whether it's executed well, that really depends very much on the execution, and you can't leave that to a third party. You need to be involved in that. So I'm going into that in a moment. Let's start with the metrics to track. So first of all, you have the visit compliance rate. So actually, are your salespeople able to visit all of the outlets in the call plan? Are they visiting the right outlets? So are they spending enough time in these outlets, basically? Are they able to cover it in the time? So you have maybe very ambitious sales call plans, which in some cases can really test the limits of human capabilities. One of the things that you need to keep in mind with regards to these visits is that the distance between outlets. So if you actually send a salesman into a street and there are 20 outlets in a row, that will not take him as long as then when he has to still, have half an hour travel time between outlets, for example. So that is also the reason why numerical distribution and weighted distribution is always an important topic to consider. That if you say, oh, I'm only going to focus on the outlets that are contributing the most, yeah, that is the weighted distribution outlets. The problem with that is that you will probably have more travel time between outlets because they will not be next to each other. That is almost impossible to be next to each other, namely because they are covering most of an area basically. So your salespeople will have more travel time, therefore they can visit less outlets per day. That is the reality of it. So the idea is that when you have sales routes, that these visit compliance rates actually are matched to numerical distribution, where you say, okay, this is an area, there is maybe are two high contribution outlets, very high weighted distribution outlets, and the rest are maybe not as spectacular. But for this guy not to have to spend several hours travel time halfway across town, basically, or halfway across a province, then you actually add these to his call schedule where you have, okay, you have some big outlets, you have some small outlets. I'm covering this area effectively. Um, Plus, availability distribution is also marketing. So in the end, to see the product on the shelf is marketing. So you see, I see it everywhere. Therefore, the chances are on impulse that it's been bought. Now, then you have strike rate, of course. I'm using the Western term for this, but in essence, you're talking about effective call in Asia. That's basically the same as a strike rate, where you actually are making a sale. So in the end, where you are able to transact, the transaction is happening. So from how many of the outlets that you are, so the total calls, you have effective calls and then effective accounts basically. So these are the Asian terms for yeah, these things basically. So strike rate means basically, so let's say someone needs to visit 30 outlets per day, and the strike rate has to be 20. So it means he has to make a sale in 20 outlets. The reality of it is, in Asia, again, if you are not reaching this 20, let's say you are at the end of the day and you have 19 outlets that you sold. So that could mean that you are not in for your incentive in a month. Part of your salary is maybe incentive, and you need to basically just go the extra mile and visit one more outlet in order to try and make that sale, basically. So that's the idea of strike rate. The importance of this is actually that you should not make it a, yeah, like weighing it down, basically. Yeah, meaning like it's good to have a target. If targets are too difficult to achieve or impossible to achieve, then it becomes a demotivator. So in the end, strike rates need to be considered very carefully when you are talking to salespeople and trying to set a target that motivates rather than demotivates. Then, of course, you have SKU distribution and share of shelf. Now, salesman has limited impact on this, so you should not weigh this too strong on them. So, if you're looking at relationship based selling, so let's say I have a modern trade outlet and supermarket outlet basically that has shelf space. Now, then that is actually a relationship that you can leverage and say, look, can you increase my number of facings on a shelf a little bit, or can I get this off location display? Or so this is the relationship of the salesman. In some case you need to pay for this. You rent something, that is the support budget that you are giving to salespeople. Then, of course, the SKU distribution, meaning it's easy for salespeople to sell the fast mover. Let's say your company has 10 SKUs, meaning 10 stock keeping units, 10 products that they're selling. So if it's jargon, SKU is actually a product, basically. So a stock keeping unit, let's say out of these 10 you have one star product that everybody wants to have, so you have the best distribution. Let's say you sell in a total to 1,000 outlets, and there are 800 outlets that have that, but there are maybe only on average for the other 9 products maximum 200 outlets out of the 1,000 that are selling these products. So the idea with that is that if you are leveraging that relationship, hey, I have this fast moving item, that you are trying to expand the distribution, SKU distribution, to include other products. You've tried our product A. Can you also try our product B, please? Can you try our product C, please? So this is one of the things that you really need to make an agenda for salespeople, because Salespeople are under pressure, time pressure, pressure to actually sell, pressure to finish their day and have these effective calls. Basically, the strike rate has to be there. The number of outlets that they need to visit compliance rate basically needs to be kept in check. Now, uh, that means that if you need to spend half an hour talking about a new product that someone needs to try, that they are maybe reluctant to try, and you need to really convince them, are you as a salesman able and willing to spend the time, or are you even capable of spending the time on that? So normally, these new product introductions are supported, supported with some marketing, supported with some documentation, some support fees also. But in essence, the core of it is actually your salespeople need to know why the outlet needs to stock this SKU. So why is actually this product worthwhile for this outlet to sell? So rather than we also have this, would you be willing to buy it? Yeah, that is a yes or a no, but they may be unable or unwilling to sell it because they don't know the benefits of these products. So this is actually something that you need to really train the salespeople for, and you need to give them also the documentation. I'll go into that in a moment, but this is actually the ammunition, so to speak, for the salespeople to fight the war. And like I said, SKU distribution is always a hot item. So in the end, let's say we have 1,000 outlets. Do I need to go and push my salespeople to 2,000 outlets? Because do I need to hire 5 more salespeople to reach 2,000 outlets? Or is there enough room for improvement? So from the numerical distribution to the weighted distribution, meaning can I sell existing products to existing customers or new products to existing customers, basically. That is actually where your short term gain of sales comes from. So, to just complete your complete SKU. So let's say your target might not be entirely 10 SKUs, but let's say instead of one SKU out of 10, you actually give them the target is okay. You push in 5 SKUs out of 10 into all 1,000 outlets basically. So that needs to be the average. And that's also where you see how effective your distributor is. So your distribution partner actually, whether they have the focus on one product that they think, okay, we're going to scale this, and this is actually the easy thing to sell, and we're just taking orders rather than making an effort to really develop the product and develop the brand, so to speak. Now, then, like I said, promotion, execution, and compliance, meaning when you have support budget, when you actually are supporting your outlets with all sorts of marketing initiatives. So you have off-location displays, you have branding inside the stores, etc. Promotions. Let's say you do a buy two get one, or a buy this get that. A gimmick of some kind that you are applying to a special package of some kind. So is it actually executed in the store? So because there's quite a big issue where, let's say, a national store or a national retail chain with maybe 800 or 1,000 stores. And in Indonesia, you have, for example, retailers with up to 20,000 stores. Difficult to check a one by one whether or face value that every store actually has the promotion in place. So you need to really do dipstick checking, basically, where randomly you are checking whether the promotions are implemented. Now, your salespeople are able to, at least for the independent retailers that you are that they're visiting, so to check whether these promotions are implemented. So if not, then you spend money for nothing, because you spend something and you don't get anything in return. So that's something that salespeople also need to report back to head office in this case. And it's also impacting their performance, their sales. So if the promotion is not running well, the reorders will not be there. Therefore, their sales target will be in jeopardy. So you need to really drill that into into the brain of salespeople in order to really get the compliance with that. Then sales per call. So average order value. So you basically so the strike rate is actually how many sales how many outlets, how many calls actually lead to a sale, but then how many units you are selling per call. So what is the average order value basically per call? So most companies have a minimum. So if you go into a store and say, okay, give me a pack of gum, no, that's maybe a couple of dollars basically that you're looking at. So these small transactions that is maybe not worthwhile to deliver it. Yeah. So unless you have it with you, basically you can sell it cash, but uh, cash sales also canvas sales actually are some things that exist, but mostly it's like, okay, you take an order and then someone else comes and deliver it with the pallet of other stuff that they buy from the distributor. So there is a minimum order value that can be in a mix with other principles, of course, but salespeople from distributors normally take multiple principles. But you basically have, a yeah target. Sales per call basically needs to be in a certain minimum. So in order to make it viable to deliver. Then that is something that is also a plus minus to enforce. Yeah, that can also lose your business if you have that too high. If this distributor is having that too high, especially if new outlets need to start ordering, yeah, then maybe they are not able or willing to have the minimum. Order value that you require. Then flexibility is actually quite a good thing. Then, of course, total sales target per salesman per month. So that is a total, in essence, for what they're selling. So that is, are you on track? How many percent of that have you achieved? And usually that also leads to incentives. So basically, if you look, you achieve at least 80 or 90% of your, or sometimes just 100, then, you get an incentive or a bonus. And if you sell more than 100%, yeah, they get even bigger bonuses, basically. So that is something that is a metric to track, especially if you look at the macro of the entire thing. So this is also something that comes back in. Probably this is the most detailed level that head office of a distributor will present to you, but you need to drill down deeper in order to get to the truth. Then, of course, you have returns per outlet. So selling a lot in month one and then getting everything back in month two, that is, of course, cheating, basically. That's not something that is building sales. What is also quite common is because sales targets can be crippling, can be quite high in essence, and then shoving in product in month one and then say, okay, like after a couple of months it all comes back as fast as it came in. Yeah, those are anomalies also that you need to keep in mind, not helping your business and giving you a lot of cost at the back end, basically. So what I would say is a good salesman is not someone who is actually selling a lot. So, you sold 200% of your target. That is actually something that is maybe sounds very impressive, but if 200% of the target means that I'm getting, half of that back in a couple of months as bad stock, like expired, or the retailer is complaining, or they're not ordering anything for the next 3 months. That is also possible. You push in 3 months of orders in one go. You get your bonus. All these things are actually counterproductive because you basically block the outlet. The outlet also has the perception at some point the product is stuck, is not moving, because he's constantly seeing these stock levels, these index levels in their warehouse being too high, and the stores is too high. That can also sometimes happen after promotions. So promotions have a residual effect where you initially you have regular shelving where maybe, let's say, 5 facings fit, but then you need to go into an off-location display where you are putting a big pallet of product on the floor in the hope that you're selling more. And even if sales are good, you probably have a lot of that stock left, which will then go to regular shelving, which there's no space. So therefore, it's actually stuck in the warehouse, and you don't get orders for several months in order to use up the stock that they have actually taken off the floor for promotion. So these are things that are really, difficult to manage unless you really are on top of it. So returns on per outlet actually can also not only cheating from the salesmen. Salesmen are usually very short-term minded people with regards to going into the store and I need to sell as much as I can. um, you can't blame them. It's basically the mission you've sent them on. You also need to set the parameters right and say, look, this is actually it, and look at whether their sales target otherwise is just too high. If they are, even with all sorts of tricks and stunt and fly work, they are achieving it. Yeah, barely achieving it, and you get a lot of returns. Yeah, then it means that probably on your end there is something wrong with the target setting. Like I mentioned, that is something that comes from the macro side. So if you look at, sometimes the CEO or the C level actually has an idea of, oh, we need to grow by 50% this year. That's very nice, but yeah, in the end, that is enormous hurdle you're actually facing the sales team is facing. And yeah, the issue with that is that it demotivates people. So it actually also leads to trying to find shortcuts. It tries. I've experienced that firsthand, where salespeople with the best intentions for the company, they were really trying to achieve what they were tasked to do, because they felt like, okay, I'm not a good salesman if I actually only achieve 50% of my target, just because it was not achievable by any normal means, basically. So then, of course, you have last but not least, which is an optional one. Last but least, I would say, not but not least, new open outlets. So in the end, say like if this is something that you guys are looking to drive, that's why I said that you need to look at whether in the existing outlet base, the SKU distribution is actually optimum. So normally these are the best outlets, namely that the distributor is already having as clients, basically. So normally distributors work with, they have something called a registered outlet database. So meaning these outlets are in the system. And then you have active outlets. Active outlets means that they are ordering for a brand. So that could be your brand, it could be another brand in the carried by the distributor. But the idea is sometimes that, okay, sometimes you are not in an outlet which is potential, but they are actually already selling another brand. Then actually expanding the outlets actually could work, but that's working with the existing outlet database of the distributor. You better look first at your active outlets. So if an outlet is actually buying SKU and you have B, C, D, E, and F, you want to actually sell to them as well. Now, then you need to task your salespeople to do that first. So NOO, or new open outlet, is actually something that of a metric where, especially for very aggressive expansion, yeah, that is something where you need to find these new outlets that are actually contributing very significantly to weighted distribution. So that is when NOOs, or new open outlets, are actually a metric that you need to apply. But like I said, it's optional. Not everybody is tasking their sales team to do that, especially if you look at distributors, they are usually not very keen to do that because it also takes time. It actually is a risk. We haven't sold to these people yet. Like, okay, if there's a brand new big supermarket that everybody's selling to, yeah, of course they would like to have it. But if it's a small store that is just opening today and maybe could be closed tomorrow, yeah, they don't know the credit risk. They're not that keen to take the plunge unless you make it interesting for them. Then, of course, we come to how to monitor and improve this. So you have using a CRM, so it's a customer relationship management tool, basically. This could be simply logging contacts, so contact manager basically, or more complicated things like Salesforce, for example. So Salesforce is a beautiful tool that I've used several times in my career so far. That has very detailed analytics. It's difficult for people to actually learn. That's actually maybe the downside, that you need maybe training for your sales team to actually learn how to use it and get the most out of it. And it's not a cheap tool, obviously. So if you look at using a CRM can actually be also something very simple that you build yourself, or you have off the shelf type of solutions where just to log what has been done in the outlet, and which outlet has you've agreed with what with whom, basically. So that mainly has a purpose where salespeople have the tendency also to roll. So, meaning rolling is that they are 6 months in an area and then they are moving. So, after those 6 months, you are actually looking at completely fresh start, a start from zero. So there's a handover. If you don't have a CRM or any system like that, basically, it becomes a bit of a lengthy introduction, personal introduction to people, and also you basically need to build relationships from zero. Um, so why do actually companies roll salespeople? Is because they get too comfortable. Also, corruption in certain countries is more rampant than in others. So that is the reason why, especially in Asia, I think the salespeople are rolling quite often to make sure that you don't get you don't make too many dubious friends, actually, that could possibly help you corrupt and all those things. Um, so this is something that is a big problem. Don't underestimate it for distributors. So distributors once in a while lose a lot of money because salespeople go rogue. In essence, in that sense, you have this sort of stuff to this system basically of rolling in place to prevent that. So in essence, just to hand over in a more complete way. So in essence, CRM systems for B2B sales are actually quite common, but you will be surprised to find that mostly in distribution companies, CRM systems are actually still very sparsely used. Then, of course, you have mapping and routing tools. So, meaning like, okay, where are the outlets that I need to visit, that my salespeople need to visit, and how do I route the most effective? Route the most effectively. So, you are trying to always optimize routes, but the point is actually this is also something that I've been taught by one of the best in the business, Patumbur, that is the former Coca-Cola area sales manager. Basically, he was quite was already retired and taught us at Ultrajaya, basically. So he was basically saying, and it's one of the coined phrases of this gentleman here, that he said, well, there is no such thing as the optimal route, because if you optimize one route, all the other routes will be suboptimal. So you need to look at, the best of both worlds, or the choosing between two evils, where none of the routes are actually completely optimized. But I mean, point is actually that it should be logical. People should actually reduce the time of travel time is actually something where you can't sell, of course. So less travel time is good. So keeping people in a certain area close to the other outlets that they need to visit is actually part of the mapping and routing. So mapping also is part of identifying new outlets, scouting new outlets. So hey, there's a new outlet opening there, so maybe that's good to include in the route for next time. Then, of course, you need to create incentives and also training programs to improve the strike rate. So actually, how to sell, in essence. So these are training that can be product training, that can be sales training. So really having role playing where you are trying to sell to people. What are the objections? How do you actually do consultative selling, where actually you can convince someone that this product is the best product for them and that they really need to stock it? How do you deal with obnoxious people? How do you deal with reluctant people? How do you deal with people who simply don't have social skills? That is something that we've come across. Mostly people were very nice in stores, but you have sometimes people that not everybody has a good day in 365 days a year. So if someone woke up with the wrong foot out of the bed first, you basically have a bad day as a salesman if you visit that person. So they have problems that you don't know anything about. That's what I'm trying to say here. So this is also training to get across that sort of thing. And then, of course, incentives are monetary incentives, can also be something that programs. I've done a few programs in my time Basically, I would, for example, every month for my team, I would have, we would order cake. We would celebrate the best performer. Just make a moment where you remember that together you've done this. And even though it was not a direct sales team, a more distributor management team, basically, but still, they were actually able to get the best out of their distributor. Therefore, you needed to reward that. Now, then you need to basically look at retailer relationship building. So basically, that is where the CRM also comes back into play, where what have we done there? What kind of support do you actually involve these people? That's why also sometimes it's very important for the top brass to go down to the market and say, look, let me just go and visit this retailer. So I've done that on several occasions where you basically sit with someone who has never seen anyone from head office come by, and then you actually come by and shake their hand and you talk to them basically. That is also something that is part of the relationship building. So we take you serious, we appreciate you, we really want to actually develop a relationship with you, and that also helps your salespeople in the end. So this is also where improvements actually can come into play. Then, of course, that is in conjunction with joint visits, so field visits by top management. So sometimes just going on a joint visit with a salesman to see how are they selling, how are they actually talking to their sales to the outlets, how are they actually encounter, what kind of problems are they encountering. So are they also having complete product knowledge? Are they having all the tools that they need, basically? So this is also something that is very important. So not only you as the sales director, but any level of the company. So the CEO himself could possibly go down once in a while to actually go and meet people. That usually is the most successful way, because then he knows also how difficult it is. Behind the desk, he actually sets a target, and then he comes across these people in the field, and it's not as easy as you think. So in that sense, it's always good to stay humble in that sense. So that's why I'm stressing that this is the most important part of it, where you really go down and look deeply at how things are done in the field and how things are really playing out in the field, basically. So in essence, plus you see so many things that maybe are missing, maybe you can improve. So this is stuff that maybe the sales team themselves, apart from the fact that they appreciate it, that you actually take the time to go and help them sell. Normally, when you go down, also they sell more than average, so they are having quite a good day, because people from head office normally have a boost actually to confidence, and maybe also the outlets are a bit more open to do things. um, so in that sense, also how to monitor daily is actually daily data point capture. So you have basically a daily report where you are looking at what has been done yesterday. So it's actually the yesterday is put into a graph today. So performance versus targets, so performance per SKU, all these metrics actually, like, okay, how many effective calls have been made today, how many sales, etc. So this is stuff that needs to be visible, and because the only way you can actually talk to people and try and improve is actually measure. You can't manage what you can't measure. So the analysis is actually really important to comply with, basically, in this case. If the analysis actually is just at face value, so you don't do anything with it, meaning you are just looking at, oh, this is a report and everybody knows what to do, and I'm just putting it out there. There is no incentive for anyone to do anything about it. You need to really make it a point of discussion in direct talks to salespeople and distributors, basically. Then what I found very important also is that you have salespeople always are all different people. So you have maybe a team of 10 people in a distributor that some are rookies, so they have just started. Some people are maybe many years already, very experienced salespeople. Now, they are usually going out alone, so they're not going in pairs, but alone. Therefore, apart from maybe some breaks or whatever they see in the morning or in the afternoon, they see each other again. They don't have any interaction. So you don't have a formal moment to actually share the experience and maybe share knowledge as well. It's like how to do things. So, okay, how do you do things? How is this? Normally, salespeople are very much loners, so they are not easy to share what they know. But if you have formal meetings where you are say, okay, now let's share, do a stand up, do what are you going to do? What is actually what you're what are you going to achieve this week? Then also like how did you do this? How did you do that? Celebrate some achievements, that sort of stuff. Then it becomes visible and also motivational for everybody. So in that sense, periodical sales meetings at every level. So if you have a distributor management team or a sales team that goes really into the field, it's very, very good to have this. And you can make it a formal sales conference, but you can also make it, even people who do it weekly, that's maybe a very high intensity, but depending on how much guidance people need. Yeah, if you have a very young team which has low experience, yeah, maybe it is more important to do this more often. Just like training needs to be done more often. If you have more experienced people say, okay, I know everything already, you can't tell me anything new anymore. Not that that is true, but I mean, the feeling that people have, yeah, then you shouldn't bother too much with this. Maybe you could make it less frequent. And yeah, give them more room to do what they need to do. That is also part of the appreciation you have for their experience, of course. And this is one of the things that I think comes with the joint visits, where I've seen several times in joint visits where you need to ensure that your salespeople have all the ammunition. So all the ammunition means that do they have all the brochures, all the POS material, all the stuff that they need in order to sell something? Are they aware of a new product? Are they aware of all the promotions? Are they aware of everything that you want them to push? Um, We've had several examples in the past with distributors that were actually at maybe head office level. They were actually saying yes, yes, we'll implement that, and then I would go to the field 2 weeks later and actually ask the salespeople in the field, so how about this promotion? And they were completely unaware of this promotion. Maybe it has been sent in a memo, but nobody has socialized that to them. Therefore, they were unaware, or maybe it was just buried in an avalanche of other promotions from other principals. So not necessarily that they didn't care, but yeah, too much information. There's just no focus on your product because there's so many other things happening in the world. So this is where you need to basically make sure that the salespeople don't have anything to wish for with regards to brochures, flyers, anything that they can leave also with customers. So what I personally always liked is actually when you talk to someone that you can give them something that's okay. This is our product. Because you might not come at a convenient time. You might need to, you might need to talk to someone else in order to make the decision. Then having a flyer or a brochure or a catalog is actually something that you can help. Yeah, can help actually. Rather than someone from memory trying to explain to the other what it is, you can actually. Give them something visual. Most people are visual in the world, so can give them something visual to actually read and see, and what is it basically. So that's something that really helps a lot. And like I said, you need to support the salespeople in the field because you can't expect them to do everything, build the bridge, and then cross it themselves. Basically, this is something that across the bridge that they have to build themselves first. So this is something that you need to support properly in order to was again give them all the ammo. So in summary, this is actually the most important function I would say of FMCG, because you have all these strategy things need to actually lead to action, and action is actually something that happens in the field that needs to happen when you have beautiful plans that need to be made real, rather than on paper in an Excel sheet actually saying, okay, I need to sell 10 times as much as last year, therefore I need 10 times as many outlets. Now, yeah, that is one thing that you need to, by math, you can actually deduce that, but is it possible to sell 10 times as much if you actually have 10 times as many outlets, because the way to distribution is different? So this is something that resources also require. It always requires money to actually expand. So in the end, this is something that you better optimize first what you have, see if there is actually room for growth there. And yeah, differences in channels, of course, where you say like modern trade and horeca, food service basically, and of course traditional trade, they all have different ways of management basically, and salespeople are approaching things differently as well. So where modern trade is more an order taking thing, maybe the food service part as well, where you need to really actively have people who knock on doors in the traditional trade, because there's no such thing as a listing or a shelf plan basically. So food service in that sense also needs to be made aware of new products in that sense. So this is something that I would like to really emphasize as vital for any FMCG company to monitor progress of your sales team properly, and apply these tools and metrics actually to improve them. Thanks for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. If you would like to send me an email if you have any questions, alex@devriessalesconsultancy.com. Would love to answer any questions that you might have. I'm still in process of writing a book on the entire topic, so you will have a chance to read about it as well. It's just until then you have to do with the videos. Please don't hesitate to get in touch, and I hope to see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.